The Unofficial Lounge with Ashante, Cravonne, and Monty. We're here to give you the insight into some of the biggest plays you remember, involving the people wearing the stripes. We look at the grit it takes to become an official while exploring the history of officiating with the people who made it. It's more than black and white. On this episode, Dean Blandino tells us about when things change at the NFL office.
And when you realize people are listening to what you have to say, it's a big hurdle. And you say, okay, I can make an impact here, and then you just kind of try to do the right thing as you move along.
Dean gives us a little bit of insight in the direction he thinks replay should go for the NCAA.
I do want to see college limit the number of stoppages to some degree. I think there's a tremendous burden on replay officials in college. Like you said, every play. And they're not responsible for just one aspect of that play. There's multiple aspects. And it has become such a stressful environment for a lot of replay officials. So I would like to see more of an NFL model where maybe it's, the scoring plays, the turnovers, the 2-minute window is an automatic review. And now the coaches have to challenge everything else.
And then Dean wows us with this terrible taste in pop culture movies.
Next Friday was better than Friday. I said it.
Cravonne, take two.
Gordon.
All right, everyone. Oh, here we go. See, I can't stand you, Ashante. I love you, but I can't stand you, bro. All right. Everyone, welcome back to the Unofficial Lounge. We are joined today by Dean Blandino. We just started out this podcast. We thank everybody for joining us so far, but boy, oh boy, we are excited to have Dean with us. Dean grew up in Long Island, New York. They said something about Belmore, but it's like LA. It's all the same thing. Played high school football, which we did not know about. Played a little tight end. So I wonder, was he a small tight end? Were you a catch receiver? Maybe not, a little older than me. So you probably was just running the ball, blocking tight end. Graduated from college, then interned in the NFL, helped start the NFL replay, eventually becoming the vice president of officiating for the NFL, and then continuing on to his career, as we know now, with Fox, also being the director of replay officiating for the NCAA. Dean has an amazing bio, an amazing story. We look forward to talking with him today. And Dean, once again, thank you for joining us on the Unofficial Lounge.
Thanks for having me. I noticed you didn't say my alma mater. You didn't name my university. Was there a reason why you wouldn't say what school I went to?
Say it, Cravonne.
Y'all say it, then I say it.
Hey, man.
Hofstra.
Hofstra, what's wrong with you?
See?
I got a list.
I was going to say, you just developed a list. It's Hofstra. And if you want to Google Hofstra University and look at the NFL players that have come out of Hofstra University. Oh, there you go. I like
So
that.
add Hofstra, Dean.
I like
Add Hofstra.
What's up with the money,
It
Dean?
seems like they have
Was
a
you flashing
fantastic
cash?
night. Like,
That's right.
who's this guy with the dollar bills?
You don't know about that.
So Monty, you found out on Twitter?
So what we're looking at, everyone, that's a Twitter Dean posted back in 2019.
Fezziwigs, yeah.
It's called Fezziwigs?
Right. That was one of the college bars. Yep.
Wow. So Dean, so
awesome,
before we get started, I think all of us listen to your Good Calls podcast, which is a lot of fun, especially during the season and we get out of COVID and there's football to talk about. You really can get detailed about stuff, but let's have a little fun first. Can we talk about the your love for M&Ms and the, what is it, half-baked ice cream?
Yeah. So yeah, peanut butter M&M, peanut. I like peanut butter M&Ms, but peanut M&Ms are like, that's it. Like that got me through however many years at the NFL on game day. In the studio, I always have a big bag of peanut M&Ms. That's one of my vices. And then half baked, Ben and Jerry's half baked. I allow myself, normally I'd only do 1 pint a week just to try to stay slim and trim. But during COVID, I was up to 2 pints a week.
Okay.
Because I was like, 2020 sucks, so I'm just gonna go for it. Yeah, but those are my two. Sweets has always been my like vice. Yeah.
So you have the unrecommended diet for those of us still on the field and being watched on camera.
No, you can't. You can't. Those are, you could have a cheat meal, but that's about it.
Okay. So Dean, you started out as an intern in the NFL. Is that just something that you sought out, or something just a job that you applied for?
Yeah, I played football my whole life, wanted to be involved in sports, had, growing up in New York, I had the benefit of, NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA, all have offices in New York City. So I just sent my resume to all of those leagues, and the NFL called and they had an internship program. And I interviewed for a couple of different positions, and I got the one in officiating. And I didn't know anything about officiating. I hadn't been exposed to it at a young age. But I just said, hey, this is the NFL. I want to be involved in sports. I'm obviously going to take it. And then it just evolved from there. And I learned the game from an officiating perspective. And then it just kind of, my career went off from there. Yeah.
Okay. So it was just sent out your resume, wound up being into the officiating, then we are where we are now, which we'll talk about more about, but just answering the ad in the newspaper almost, huh?
More or less just reaching out. Yeah. And
right.
It's funny, the girl that worked in HR at the time, she went to Hofstra University. Like I went to Hofstra University. So he put my resume on top, and that's how I got a phone call. So if I got anything out of Hofstra, it was that, and it kickstarted my career at the NFL.
So if
man, everybody gets a hand.
So if the NHL would have called, you'd been a replay czar of the NHL.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe, yeah. It was just being, obviously taking that opportunity, and I was blessed with so many good people that took an interest in my career. And it was funny because I learned officiating. I was editing tape at that time. And because now you guys know, like, everything's digital, right? I can go on a website and access video. Well, at that point, this is like mid 90s. If you were going to edit a tape, you had to put it in one deck, watch it, record it on the other deck. So I'm watching offensive holding, and I'm watching pass interference while I'm editing those tapes. And that's how I learned what holding was and what pass interference was. And obviously having people around me, officiating people that were able to help me and give me more, experience and context and everything else.
So from that university that I can't pronounce, because I'm just, terrible with pronouncing names.
Mumble mouth.
Right. Yeah. Are you the most, would you say you're the most famous alumni?
No.
I mean, Ashante, you don't have to agree. You don't have to say no so quickly.
I'm just my bad.
I mean, you're like, no, what are you saying?
You nice, Dean, but it's better. You nice.
Let me say no.
Okay.
You disagree with me.
Okay.
No, I'm definitely not. There's a lot of more famous alumni, without question.
Did Wayne Quebec go there?
Wayne Quebec, yes, Wayne Quebec. Marcus Colston. Look at NFL players that play. Willie Colon, Lance Schulters. There's a bunch of guys that played in the NFL. And I think there's others. I think James Caan, the actor. There's some others that went to Hofstra.
Okay.
Wow.
I got Francis Ford
Coppola, who did Godfather. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
You in that, but you rank up there though, Dean. I give you that. You rank high.
I'm like in the top 50, maybe.
I'll take you and Wayne Quebec. You and Wayne Quebec.
There you go.
Man, they even got Christopher Walken, man.
That's right. See?
King of New York.
Monty, you want me to send you a Hofstra shirt? You want me to?
Man, please do. Please do.
Just medium. Send them a medium.
I did.
That's
I was
great.
talking to somebody. I hope you guys. I don't think you guys are part of this, but I was talking to some. They were. It was another podcast I did, and they said they're really into the jacked ref revolution. That's what they called it. Like all these referees, officials that are wearing these medium shirts.
Oh,
What do you guys think of that? Like, what do you?
Suns out, guns out,
names.
baby.
No comment.
Suns out, guns
comment.
I'm not
out.
going to name names, but where are you guys on that?
No comment.
I don't like to paint it on t-shirts. I don't like to paint it on t-shirts.
If you got to alter your shirt to show your guns, you really didn't do anything. That's how
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
but
100%.
I digress.
You know, if you
Well, I wear mine kind of tight.
No, if you take it up, rubber bands like Ultimate Warrior, WWF style to make your guns pop out, then, the shirt don't really do it for me. But
everyone looks nice in their uniform. You're not going to get us to say that, Dean. I see what you're doing. This is not clickbait. No, everyone looks nice.
All right.
So, Dean, when you came into the NFL with officiating, had replay came back yet, or was it not back on the field yet?
No, it was. So when I started in 95, it was in between. So replay had been in 86 to 91, and then it got voted out, and then we brought it back in 99. So I was kind of right in the middle of no replay, and and as you all know, right, it's just as the technology got better and these games are more scrutinized, and there were just more and more plays where we would sit there and we would do tests during the year, and we would come up with a list of plays where if we had replay, how many would be overturned. And ultimately there were some plays in 1998 that kind of, that pushed it over the edge, and the owners voted it back in 99.
So
okay,
you growing up, New York kid, get a New York job, and you got this new money. Did you stay at home?
No. So I lived at home probably my first year as an intern, and I was commuting, and then that commute was was like an hour each way, and so I ended up moving into not Manhattan, because Manhattan is crazy. Like you get like a 200 square foot apartment, and it was outrageous. So I lived in Queens. I lived in parts of New Jersey, like right outside Manhattan first, and then when I got a little bit older, into my 30s, then I moved into Manhattan, and I started started to live that new money.
That new money life. Okay.
Understood. Everybody loved that new money.
That's right.
So at this time, who are the mentors? So a big thing that we talk about, who are the mentors that you're being around and getting exposed to during this time?
Yeah, I mean, so Jerry Seaman hired me. He was was a longtime referee in the NFL and the head of officials for 10 years during, when I first started. And he obviously was a mentor, but I was blessed with Art McNally, who, has been around for a long, long time. Leo Miles, Ron D'Souza. I had a group of officials, former officials that were in the office at the time that really helped me. And then on-field officials at the time, like Bill Carollo and Larry Upson, came off the field and came to the office. I was so blessed with good people around me, and like you guys know, that mentorship and having people that can help you, navigate this environment is so beneficial, and I was blessed with good people.
What do you think it was? What were you doing to make sure that these people wanted to mentor you and be around you? Because that is tough. There a lot of times,
young guy,
the young guy in the room.
It's for me, I knew once I realized that this was a career path I wanted to pursue, I really started, because I didn't have the on-field officiating background, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to go that path. So I really focused on the technology and the rules. I studied the rules inside and out, and I said, I'm going to become a rules expert. And I think that will help me. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to, and I wanted to know, and Art McNally was so great about this. It wasn't just what the rule is, but the why behind it. How did the rule come into play? And he would give me the rundown from, he was been around since the 60s and 70s and 80s. And here's the discussion and here's the plays that happen. So I think that just showing that interest and really taking, that extra step to just become a rules expert. And then obviously being in the right place at the right time with replay coming back and having a technology background, it just kind of all came together and it worked out.
So you had the dream job, watching football all day and then cutting film.
100%. Yeah, 100%. There's not many, if you're a football fan, it doesn't get much better than that.
So when it comes to the unofficial lounge, Dean, we have a hard line about not talking about rules, but we can't have you on and not talk about a rule because you have been an important part of a lot of rule changes. So you were a part of one of the major changes of the process was the catch, correct? As far as getting that rule more defined.
That's a rule that I think still, there's always going to be a debate on that because there's that subjective element, right? There's control, and then there's whether it's a body part in college or 2 feet in the NFL, and then there's that time element, right? Which it's hard to define. It's hard to say it's this long, so you try to figure out, okay, what does it look like? Is it, does he tuck it away? Does he turn upfield? Does he take additional steps? Can he become a runner and defend himself? So that rule has been, obviously it's such a big play in the game and it happens so frequently. It's been a widely debated rule and controversial at times. And I've been involved in controversial replays but I think it's in a good place. I think it's in a good place in the college and the NFL right now. But there's always going to be that subjective element to it. And that's just part of it.
So how long did it take for you to get comfortable to, like you said, you're around these greats to where you were knowledgeable to voice your opinion? Because you went from cutting tape to now when you say something, someone listens now. So how long did that take, that process?
It took a while. It took, probably 5 or 6 years before, before I felt comfortable, interjecting. For me, I always took the approach, even now, just because my foundation is all NFL rules. So I'm not by no means an expert in the college football rules. And so I want to get there. So for me, it's always, I'm going to listen first and take it all in. And then if I feel like I have something that can add to the conversation that can be a benefit, then I'll chime in. But it took a while before I felt comfortable, and then you just continue to get experience. And then when you realize people are listening to what you have to say, it's a big hurdle. And you say, okay, I can make an impact here. And then you just kind of try to, do the right thing as you move along.
And the money helps too, right?
Be judicious. The money helps. Goodness gracious.
Ashante, we can't. Didn't
I'm saying you got paid. I don't know, he getting paid well.
It's two things you don't talk about. It's money and politics, right? Everybody knows that.
But when you get confidence, you get paid. So that's what I'm talking about. He got the confidence, money, power, respect.
It's more, look, I've learned in the TV world, and this is, look, there are so many smart people in TV, and there's so many, but it is 80% how you present yourself and how confident you are, and it's 20% what you're actually saying. And you could, and even you guys know from being on the field, like I'll take an official who's confident and who sells a call, even if he's wrong or she's wrong, versus somebody that's going to be hesitant and not be decisive.
Right.
And I think that's part of it.
Be wrong strong.
Yep.
That's my philosophy. So before we get off the rule aspect of it, you were a part of two big plays in NFL history: Megatron non-catch and the Dez Bryant non-catch. Would those still be not a catch today?
So Megatron, I was not at the league office.
Oh, okay.
But Megatron, obviously I know the play, and I was involved in the Dez Bryant play, heavily involved in that play. So those were two of the plays that when the competition committee was looking at tweaking the rule, those were two of the plays they said, the current rule, these are incomplete. How do we write a rule to make them catches? So they will be catches. They would be catches today. And that was part of the exercise that the competition committee went through looking at plays like that, Megatron, Dez, some others, to say, okay, how do we make these catches and then write the rule that way?
And so went to NFL, and then you left and you started Under the Hood, and then you came back to the NFL. Can you talk about Under the Hood? What was the idea behind that?
Yeah, I mean, Under the Hood was, it was just, I started my own kind of consulting company, and I saw there was an opportunity at the league office. I thought I had kind of hit my ceiling because I didn't have an on-field officiating background, so I didn't think I would ever, get to the top spot. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna go off on my own and do my own thing, and had a lot of established relationships. So I was really I was still working with the NFL on a consulting basis, but I was working with a lot of the college conferences, training and teaching their replay officials, working with the system vendors on technology and how we can improve the systems going forward. And it was an opportunity, I was living in New York, grew up there. I moved out to LA for a couple of years. And then the NFL in 2012, brought me back into the officiating department. And then ultimately that led to me being, the vice president.
Did you notice a difference then when you went back to college and saw how they were setting up their replay? Did you notice any a difference in or what they were lacking or what they could improve on?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and this is still today, the biggest challenge with college football is you have different conferences, right? You have different coordinators, and what is being taught in the Pac-12 may be slightly different than what's being taught in the SEC. And since replay was still so new at that point, we were kind of all over the place. And there wasn't any common thread to kind of say, okay, let's put some processes in place that we can standardize that can help everybody, be more, just be more efficient and be successful in the booth. So I think that was the biggest challenge and the biggest kind of eye opener going back to college. Because in the NFL, look, everybody's under the same umbrella. In college, it's all these different conferences, different, Division II, Division III, FBS, FCS. There's so many different layers to it.
Are you a fan of at least what college is doing as far as centralizing, and at least each conference is centralizing to a command center in most cases?
Yeah, I do. I do like that approach. I think what it does, it doesn't necessarily make replay any more accurate, but it does make it more consistent. Anytime you can consolidate the decision making, if you have 18 or 19 replay officials at separate games, they may look at the same play a little bit different. Whereas if you have that one, kind of oversight, you can manage those decisions and be more consistent. And I think also just having that added layer prevents the real catastrophic mistake, that doesn't happen very often. But if you have an added layer, that can be that safety net to prevent that, fifth down or something, crazy with the clock where a team is really going to gain an advantage.
That's what Scott Twyford talked about, Monty, when he said they had the local regional, the booster being a replay guy.
When college first went to replay, it was a local booster that was the replay assistant.
I mean, I've been in replay booths in both the college and college and NFL, where the technician, who's typically either a club affiliated person or a school affiliated person, the ball's loose and they're yelling our ball in the replay. And the first time I looked at him and I was like, no, that's not today.
Here, somebody get this guy out of here.
No.
We're non-partial on the
get
field.
him the hook.
So what replay process do you prefer? Do you prefer the NFL with the challenges in under 2 minutes, or do you prefer the college aspect to where pretty much every play that has a reviewable aspect to it by rule can be replayed?
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both. I do want to see college limit the number of stoppages to some degree. I think there's a tremendous burden on replay officials in college. Like you said, every play. And they're not responsible for just one aspect of that play. There's multiple aspects. And it has become such a stressful environment for a lot of replay officials. So I would like to see more of an NFL model where maybe it's, the scoring plays, the turnovers, the 2-minute window is an automatic review. And now the coaches have to challenge everything else, right? The coaches don't want that because they like they don't want to get second guessed. So that's that's going to be a hurdle for the college coaches. But I would like to see us go in that direction because again, I just think it is a tremendous burden on the replay official in college games.
So enough of this football stuff, Cravonne. Let's talk about the personal side. We had too many football questions. So let's stop.
Stand-up comedy. How did you get to stand-up comedy, Dean?
How did I get to stand-up comedy? Okay, so I had a good friend of mine when I was working at the NFL. She was she's an actress, had done stand-up comedy, and she was like, so you guys remember, I'm going to give her a shout out. Remember the movie House Party, Kid and Play?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
Robin Harris, absolutely.
One of the classics. I love that movie. So Val Gamble's her name. Val is in House Party, and Val she plays, and I don't know her name, I forget her name in the movie, but she comes up to play at the party, and she's like, "You got any snacks? You got anything?" And he's like,
"Oh yes."
He's like, "Take your ass to the store."
That's it.
Right. Right.
So
nice.
I would always at the office, I'd come up like, "Hey, you got any snacks or anything?" And so she was doing stand up in New York, and she said, I think you should try it. I think you'd be good at it. And I was like, no, it was just very intimidating. And then finally I just, okay, I'm going to go to an open mic and do it. And I loved it. It was kind of, it's intimidating, but it's a feeling that I had never had. Like you're up there by yourself with a microphone and a bunch of strangers for the most part, and you have to entertain them for however long. And I just kind of fell in love with it. I knew I didn't want it as a career because, that's a grind. That's working clubs every night and not everybody, for every Jerry Seinfeld or Martin Lawrence or whoever did, there's a million stand-ups that are just working clubs. So I didn't want to do that, but I just loved it. And it really helped me with public speaking and everything else in my career. Talking to coaches and officials and big groups was not intimidating once you do stand up. It's definitely has been a big help for me.
So Val Gamble, her name was Lachey.
Lachey, yes.
And John Witherspoon, Bang, 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 Bang.
Right.
Oh, man, that was a great movie.
Oh,
great
yeah,
movie.
all-time classic. Mine was always House Party 3, though, with Bernie Mac. That was the one. I don't know why. Usually the third.
I'm sorry.
Usually
the third. Not good.
Usually the third, if anything, is bad. But House Party 3. Oh,
let's mute him, Monty. Let's mute Cravonne.
You want? I'm gonna give you a hot take. I'm gonna give you a hot take, and you guys might kick me off the show. But I am.
Whoa, slow down, buddy.
I am. Next Friday was better than Friday. There you go.
Ooh.
I said it.
Ooh. Now.
Hold up.
Wait. Because
Wow.
Friday to me is like House Party 3. They have some lines in there that even if you didn't see the movie, everybody know.
Don't nobody know House Party 3. Hold up.
You got all.
Hold up.
All.
Hold up. Let's stop. Monty. Hold up.
When Bernie Mac said if they don't like
Play
it,
the Kanye right quick. Play the Kanye. Hit the Kanye.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
You said Friday was after next was better than Friday.
No. Just the second one.
The second one. The next Friday.
Mike Epps. The one with Mike Epps.
But it didn't even have Big Worm.
Friday was. I'm not knocking Friday. I just prefer next Friday because of Mike Epps and the Mexicans that lived in Rancho Cucamonga.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know what?
Yes.
So I agree with you, Dean. I didn't know Rancho Cucamonga was a place until I moved to California because I thought,
it's a real place.
yeah, I'm like, that was just in Friday.
I thought it was.
Man, I lost my wallet in El Segundo, baby.
So moving on. I'm not even gonna touch that one.
All right.
That is a hot take though, because Friday for a while there, I think I could recite the whole thing without even seeing it.
I saw Friday After Next, and I was like, Skip, it was on TV. Have you been eating too many M&Ms? Are you on the chocolate? You're pure chocolate, pure cocoa.
It's maybe it is. Maybe it's a little bit. I've had too many peanut M&Ms, but I'm. That's my take. I'm just saying.
That's our.
Hey, I can respect that.
Welcome to the unofficial lounge. You're allowed to have that.
We respect all bad decisions.
There you go.
So, Dean, you're working in the NFL. You tried to stand up comedy. You left. You started your consulting business. Then you were brought back to the NFL as the VP of Officiating. And then, which we know that's in us on the field, right? That's like the top spot to get. There's nowhere beyond that. But then you launching into Fox and your career now on Fox. How has that, really changed the way you looked at officiating compared to being the VP of Officiating to now being a person that, you give a lot of insight, but it's also entertainment as well because you are on TV.
It was always, and my experience with the NFL was always positive. I loved what I was doing, so it wasn't that I was not happy with what I was doing. I loved that position. I loved everything about being a part of that and working with the officials and the coaches. But the opportunity presented itself. I always knew TV would be there at some point. I didn't think it would happen that quickly. And it was an opportunity that it was too good to pass up because I didn't know if it was going to be there again in the near future. And I've always just tried to diversify myself and my skill set. And so learning the TV side of it has helped me, in everything that I've done. And now I know how TV works and what goes into the broadcast. And it also allowed me to kind of branch out and work with the NCAA in an official capacity and do other things, the XFL, the Alliance of American Football, things that I wouldn't have been able to do when I was with the NFL. And I was exposed to, a lot of great people, like you guys through those experiences. And so it's been a positive, and I've just gotten to see the game from all different sides.
So I got a question. So I know when we started, we tried it as either Pop Warner or whatever. It was just to get a varsity game. So for you, when you started cutting tape, what did you had aspirations? You said you didn't think you could be on the field. So how did you know eventually you become like a VP of Officiating? Like, what was that mindset? Because that's just crazy.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be running the department when I first started. There was no chance. I was happy to be in the position I was in. I was going to learn as much as I could. And then, and then I take the next step in my career, wherever that journey led me. So I never anticipated, and it never became a reality until I left in 2010 and then, started talking to people around the league, and they started, kind of pushing for me to come back. So it wasn't anything that I thought about till like I said, 2011, 2012. At that point when replay came back, I just wanted to be as involved in replay as I could, help write the rules from a technology standpoint, help with that, and just kind of see where it went. And it just, obviously it kind of worked out.
So hold up. So dealing with those colleges just ran you back. Like, I got to get back to the NFL after you saw the landscape of college. Were you playing, right?
Yeah, it was, I love college football. And sometimes when when you're too close to something, your love for it can sometimes go away, right? And that I've seen that with the NFL. Like, you grow up, and I remember watching NFL games. That was such a big part of my childhood and teen years, and then you become a part of it, and you realize it's a business. And you realize you see kind of maybe the unsavory side of things, and that can kind of diminish your love for the game and the sport. And so I've always tried to keep it separate. It's not easy, it was just opportunities presented themselves, and I just try to make the best decision I could at that time.
Hey, Dean, was the unsavory side on that party bus?
I set that up.
It wasn't a party bus. Don't listen to TMZ.
Okay, so let's set the record straight. Okay, everybody wants to call it a party bus. Okay, it's a bus, right? Have you had Monty? Have you had a house? Have you had a party at your house at some point?
I have.
Is it a party house or is it a house?
Well, yes, we have speakers in the ceiling.
All right, maybe you're the wrong. Maybe you're the
Yeah, we may be asking the wrong person.
He drinks Gentleman Jack. Don't ask anybody who drinks
we-
Gentleman Jack a question.
Right,
Maybe
right.
we're asking the wrong person. It is a bus that gets you from A to B. And this is what happened, right? The Cowboys train out here out in what, Oxnard?
Oxnard, yep.
Yes, sir.
And so, they were out here. I know Stephen Jones from our competition committee, our time on the competition committee. And, one of my colleagues who's now at Fox Sports, but, I knew him when I was at the NFL, Jake Glazer. They were out to dinner. I was out here doing a seminar, and they invited me out to dinner. We went to dinner, like I've had dinner with other executives from clubs. They said, hey, we're going to go get a drink up the street. I said, all right, great, I'll join you. Little did I know that the mode of transportation was going to be this giant bus with a star on it, and we were going to go to this nightclub on Sunset with a bunch of paparazzi there. And, you get out of the bus, video is taken, next thing you know, TMZ takes it, and they run with it, and it becomes an issue. But it was never an issue for people around the league. Like, they knew in that role, and I think you guys understand this, in a coordinator position, head of officiating, you're building relationships with those.
Absolutely.
Relationships. You build relationships with coaches on the field. And because if you can build that relationship, then they're more likely to listen to what you have to say. Whereas if you don't have a good relationship, then you're never going to find that common ground. So I always felt the relationship was really important. And, obviously I didn't want to be in the business of being on TMZ with a group of Cowboys executives, because people are going to take that and run with it. But
it's funny when you say that, because that bus is everywhere. I mean, when I've been out there, Oxnard, it's always there. I've actually went to a game at Cowboy Stadium. It's parked across the street. So it's
in Indianapolis everywhere. At the Combine, that bus is everywhere. You can't walk around Indianapolis during that week of the Combine without seeing that bus.
But TMZ is not.
And TMZ is not.
But it's funny because when they train out here in Oxnard, when the players have a day off, everybody goes to LA. Just like Dean said, they don't stay in Oxnard to go to dinner.
Oxnard
they
is
instantly
LA?
are down. No. They go down to 101, and they are in Hollywood. They're in the heart of LA. They go to Santa Monica. They get out of Oxnard. I was about to say something else.
That isn't LA?
Yeah,
that is in West
don't.
LA?
No, that's the little lies that they say in the brochures. When the hotels in Oxnard say they close to Disneyland and they really not. Yeah, no, don't believe everything you read, people. So, Dean, you had the experience. I mean, like I say, your career has really taken you, and I would say it's kind of the New York in you. You've left the NFL, started your own business, which then got the NFL to come back and say, hey, we need this guy to be a part of the NFL again, not only be a part of it, but be, the head of it. And then you went on to Fox, but like you said before, you had the opportunity with Fox now to also be a part of the AFF and the XFL 2.0. How was those two experiences other than them ending early?
You shouldn't have hired Cravonne.
He is the common denominator. So
Left rock.
3.0, he might not get a call, but
Uh-oh.
it was a great experience. And obviously, both leagues kind of went under for different reasons. Certainly, I think while it was a good experience, I think I kind of had, not a great ending to the AAF, just because it was, it was all kind of the finances and everything else and kind of how it happened. I think with the XFL, it was just sad because it was going really well and it was getting a lot of good traction, and the TV partners were presenting the game well, and it was just gaining a lot of momentum. And how do you prepare for a pandemic, right?
No one is prepared.
No one prepared for that, and it was, and I think Vince McMahon just had to make a decision. Look, I have to either save the WWE or, I'm going to continue this XFL. And that would be an easy decision, I think, for anybody. And it was just unfortunate. Both amazing experiences, and you just kind of get to branch out. And like I said, exposed to different people and see, just a different way of doing things. And I'm hoping that, I can be involved in the next go around with the XFL, and we just kind of see where it goes.
Ashante Jordan and Monty Montgomery, we're available.
You're on board.
Scratch Cravonne.
On board, baby.
Now, but Dean, I've been trying to tell these guys, and you just said it. If it wasn't for COVID, the XFL 2.0 would have closed out and probably would have already been preparing now for the 2021 season.
No question. It is, we were preparing even, and I got a car alarm going on outside here. We were preparing even after the shutdown. We were preparing for 2021. And I think I don't think anybody anticipated a complete shutdown. And I think that was the big issue for the, the future of the league.
So in dealing with
hold on, Cravonne.
Go ahead.
I got a quick question. Were you
involved?
involved?
Don't forward him your resume yet. Not yet.
I just got the email. Monty just sent it. So.
Were you involved with the decision to put replay on camera? Because that, I think, was
that
pretty
changed the game.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to do some different things. And the thing the XFL had going for it is you don't have the years and years of tradition, and fans weren't as invested, right? And if you did that in the NFL, there probably would be, some cons to that. I think the XFL was just great to be able to try some different things. And I think people loved it, to be able to listen in and watch the replay official make a decision. I think it kind of eliminates any of that conspiracy theory, anything. You get to just see a person working through a process and even being able to listen to the on-field officials during a conference and what they're talking about. I think fans loved it. And I think that's what made the XFL so interesting to watch on TV and what made it popular.
I think what really made it popular were the cup snakes that they were doing in the.
Oh yeah, that was the cup snake. Yeah. Can't do that now. That's post COVID. You can't be doing that anymore.
No cup snakes.
Nope.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. We just hope to get back in the stadium one day.
That's right. I know.
So in the XFL, in the AFF, you had to deal with a friend of the shows that was one of our guests, Steve Strimling. How is it dealing with Mr. Steve Strimling? Because, he could surprise you on the microphone.
He doesn't say
just kidding, right? He moves around a lot. He's a great guy, but how is it dealing with Steve?
I love Steve, and he's been so his attention to detail is so good, and he would help. Because I've run professional football officiating, right, organization, but I had never really run a more of a college system, and he was so helpful on that end, and his attention to detail, like I said. But sometimes it's like, you'll bounce things off of him, and he'll really help. And sometimes the attention to detail is like, okay, Steve, I got it. You don't have to email about this. I got it. But I appreciate go overboard versus not covering it. And sure, he's amazing, and he's been such a good friend and a colleague. So. He does. We joke, on the microphone. He's the only referee I see. He's just walking. Like the camera just has to stay with him. Making an announcement.
Right. So when you're part of XFL and AFF, you had a strong cause and a strong push for diversity on staff. What was your idea behind that?
Yeah, I just think this has always been important, and the diversity and like, I think we all understand why diversity is important. Because if everybody looks the same and comes from the same background, we're gonna approach issues the same way, and we're not gonna see these different ways of approaching issues. So that for me was why it was so important to have a diverse staff, and on top of that, inclusion and everything else. I mean, these are things that we're seeing now. It's just become, it's at the forefront because of what's happening in our country. But this, and you guys know much better than me, these are not new issues, right? These have been going on for a long time, and the officiating world is a microcosm of society in that not everybody has the same opportunities. And so that was just important to us when we were putting together the staff.
So is there a move towards a diversity in age in replay?
It's, we started, one of the things, like we have to go through, it's like, those insurance commercials where you're becoming your parents, and we have to do, it's like, okay, when we do a conference call, mute your phone, and then there's, put your phone on, it doesn't have to be on ring, it can be on vibrate, and those types of things. But yes, it is what we're trying to do as we create this pipeline of replay officials, is we're trying to go, outside the box and look at, the model is no longer you work 30 years on the field and then retire into the replay booth. We got to look at officials that are younger, earlier in their careers, that want to transition to replay as a career path, and that's the goal. Because, like you said, and for as far as diversity goes, replay, we have a lot of work to do because you don't see it, right? You see the officials on the field. You don't know who's in the replay booth. But when I get everybody together, at the national clinic that we weren't able to have this spring, but we've had it in the past, and you look across that room, you see that it isn't very diverse. And that's something, we got to get younger and we got to get more diverse. There's no question.
So, Dean, real quick, before we move off the replay aspect of on the field, Ashante kind of mentioned it before, we could say, hey, we're starting out on youth, we're going to do high school, we're going to do small college. When it comes to getting your experience in a replay booth, it's kind of difficult. You almost have to get hired, in a sense, for a person to really get exposed in the replay booth. There's some camps and stuff that people are engaging in it, but how can a person just get started? Is it cutting videos? Is it kind of doing what you did to get started?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is create more structure to that path. And so right now we're working on programs where, I've had Zoom calls and with different groups and Division II, Division III officials, and, just kind of pitch them on replay. Here's the skill set we're looking for. And then what we want to do, and we did this in conjunction with the Big Ten with Bill Carollo 2 years ago, and COVID didn't allow us to do it this spring, but bring in a group of, 40 or 50 prospective replay officials and walk them through. Like, we gave them a cognitive test, kind of like a Wonderlic. We spent time with them on video. We actually did video interviews to kind of get to the personality type. And then we picked a smaller group, and basically it's almost like an internship program where they sat in the replay booth during the year, or they sat in the Big Ten Command Center and watched the process before. And then this second year, now they'll be a member of a crew and they'll get assigned to games. So that's kind of the model we're looking at. Let's get the people who are interested. Let's reach out and let's bring them in, get them in a replay booth, let them watch the process, get them into a command center, and then make them available to all the coordinators across the country as they have openings.
Is this where I send in my resume?
I was waiting for you to take notes, Monty.
Hey.
I asked the question just
Monty,
for you.
Monty sent me
I appreciate it.
3 emails, one for the XFL, one for replay, and one he wants to be my nanny. He said,
hey, I thought he wanted to hit the car alarm for you.
and Cravonne, I live now. I live in Santa Monica, and you would think I'm in New York. You would think I'm in Manhattan with the amount of noise that this area, sirens and car alarms, and it's crazy.
No ghetto
Oh,
bird.
yes. But see, the crazy thing is me growing up in Southern California, seeing Santa Monica grow. I mean, they've knocked down so many houses and stacked apartments and condos on, what used to be a, single family piece of property now is 4 stories with 18 units in it with no parking. So Santa Monica, the last
not even
15
that.
years, it's been a change.
They put Google right on the block down
Right.
there. There was a big old complex, or Google, Amazon. I can't remember what it was.
Yep.
So Dean, not only getting more diversified when it comes to officiating, I understand you've got more diverse over COVID in your cooking.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna pitch you guys what you guys think about this cooking channel. I'm gonna call it the Ref Chef, and I'm gonna do. You like that, right? And
That's nice.
And I'm gonna have people send me recipes, and we'll try it, and we'll have a little football officiating conversation. Maybe it's if you're having a party when we can have parties again, and
all right,
what kind of food you'll have, and so we'll just do it. But yeah, it's definitely up my cooking game. That's for sure.
I got this.
I like that. I have to send in my resume now because, my call name on some of my social media stuff is the Chef and the Ref. So I'm with you.
I got this good on broccoli cauliflower dish for you.
Yeah.
He's the vegetarian.
So he doesn't eat meat. Don't believe anything he says.
This wonderful.
My ex was a vegetarian, and so I lived the vegetarian lifestyle for a while. So I know what that's all about. And it's not. I mean, you got to live like I've only lived in New York and LA, so it's easier to be vegetarian in places like that. I would imagine there are other places in the country where it's a little tougher.
In the South, my family disown me. They eat pork.
Yeah.
They you fend for yourself.
Yeah.
That's very true. But I bet you gave up that vegetarian though.
No, I
went
don't.
Back to me.
No, I don't.
No, I'm not talking to you.
Oh, Dean.
You're not the guest.
Yeah, no, I'm no longer vegetarian.
Right.
Thank you.
We give him a hard time, Dean, because if you ever meet him in person, he is the biggest vegetarian you've ever met in your life.
You can maintain your protein, Cravonne. You can.
Yeah. I mean, you look at all elephant, rhinos. I mean, all the
he's an elephant and a rhino.
Whoa, hold up. You can't, Dean. Come on, Dean. I couldn't pronounce your school, but you got to offend me. Come on.
I'm just trying to help that there are large beings on this planet that are strictly vegetarian.
Ooh,
you're not helping, Dean. You're not helping. You take me to steakhouses, Dean. When we go out.
That's payback for you jumping in on, no, he's not the most famous Hofstra alum.
You know what? Wayne Quebec and Walken, the better than you, Dean. I'm gonna stick. Those my top. You're bumping down. You're number 4 now, Dean.
I agree.
All right. So, Dean, we have this thing we call it's a under review. So what I'll do is I'm gonna ask you a couple questions we asked to everybody, and then just off the top of your head, just give us a quick answer.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Hey, Dean, where has officiating allowed you to travel that you would have never went to without officiating?
That's a good one. Where has it, I think just being able to be a part of NFL Europe and going to places like Berlin and other places like that has been, I never would have imagined, officiating would have allowed me to travel to places like that. And so yeah, I'd say being a part of NFL Europe was definitely the biggest thing for me.
Right. All right, Dean. What career accomplishment, which you have many, has made you the most proud?
Ooh. I think just I'd have to say, becoming the vice president of NFL officiating is probably made me the most proud because, I didn't have the officiating background. I thought that door was closed. And I just, kept working and was able to accomplish that goal. So that definitely makes me the most proud.
Awesome. All right. All right, Dean. So you got to think back when you were in the booth now. What do you think of when you got a call in the center that the previous play was under review?
What am I thinking?
Yes.
You know.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it's just you start to want to know what happened. You want to get the headset on, figure out what happened. It was just for me, that was never, those things were never stressful. Like it was never stressful for me because I just had so many reps. I've learned the game watching it on video. And so that was, I didn't have to unlearn officiating from an on-field perspective. My foundation was video replay, watching the game that way. So that always was easy for me. I wouldn't say easy, but it was never uncomfortable for me. So I always felt very confident in those situations.
well, that's it.
Wow, that was the quickest.
Dean, hey,
Because he actually got the question out.
answers.
He got the question out good this time. You know, normally he's just as bad as me asking those
You're
questions.
terrible.
Never. So everybody, we got to thank you. Make sure you check out Dean. Check out his Twitter at Dean Blandino. That's DEAN Blandino, BLANDINO. And just thank you, Dean. Man,
Thanks,
thank
Dean.
you so much.
Don't forget about his podcast.
The Good Calls podcast.
So hold up, Dean. So what have you been doing this COVID season? Because I know I hit the burnout as far as just rules knowledge. How's that been playing for you?
Yeah, it actually worked out because of the, now with all the Zoom stuff, and we were able to have these weekly calls with all the conferences and get all the replay officials together. And what's great about replay is, right, you're watching video, and that's what these Zoom calls are. And so we were able to kind of recreate the replay booth, and that's been the biggest thing that I've been doing. That's kept me the most busy because it is my off season with Fox Sports, and now we're ramping up for the season, and so things will get busier. But that's kind of what I've been doing, and it's definitely been an interesting time for everybody. But I've stayed busy, and I feel lucky. I feel blessed to be able to still do what I'm doing during this time.
So that new mouth with the kids hasn't hurt you?
No. The kids, that's an interesting Zoom school is
Oh, buddy.
man.
I'm going through it with 3 of them.
Teachers need a raise.
Right? They do. They absolutely do. One thing from this, but it's a different deal for sure.
So, Dean, are you concerned at all? Spring, we're talking moving a lot of seasons to the spring. Pac-12, Big 12, a lot of smaller conferences, and then possibly XFL 3.0 all coming up in the spring. I mean, we may have a busier time and more compacted time. Does that concern you as far as your scheduling and how you're going to go about it?
I mean, it doesn't concern me. I'm happy. If we have football, I'm happy. And I think we certainly, the way it's setting up, we definitely could have a much busier spring than normal. If the XFL is happening and we've got some of these conferences playing in the spring, it's going to be busy, but it's more football. I think it's more snaps for everybody. And I've had conversations with coordinators, and I don't see any reason why you can't work a Pac-12 game and work an XFL game and go, do it that way. I think it's
right.
That's good for everybody.
There's Division III officials out there, Dean. Don't forget about Monty and Ashante.
That's email number 6.
Monty, and I'm waiting to see what else Monty wants to do.
Well, Dean, we want to thank you again for being part of the Unofficial Lounge. We really hope you enjoyed it as much as we have. It was great to get to know you a little bit better. Had the opportunity to meet you a few times and travel with you a couple times to different games, but it was really nice. I still can't say your university, but it was really nice to get to know you a little better.
Not going to hire you for the XFL 3. Let it go.
Hey, but Shanti, I know we call you the angry one, but I've already been hired by him twice. Get on the list.
How did that work out
on the list
for that
Ooh.
league?
Sound
like hate.
Thank you so much. I think we got a little infighting going
Somebody's
on.
the cause of it. We'll figure it out. But thanks for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun. If I could ever come back on, I'd love to. And just, I want your homework assignment is go watch Friday and next Friday back to back, and then report back to me. That's all. That's all I ask.
Big worm.
No.
Big Worm.
No. I'm not going to watch that movie,
Big
dude.
Worm
I get it.
versus Pinky? Which one? Big Worm versus Pinky. That's what you're saying.
It doesn't all boil down to that.
That's
You're
what
just
it boils
saying.
down to.
All right, you just watch them again. That's all.
Hey, he volunteered to come back on the show. I'm gonna do my homework.
There you
So,
go.
yes,
Next
I
time
will.
we'll talk about it.
There we go.
Okay.
And we could talk about that. We could talk about that on the next go around.
There you go.
Thank you, Dean.
Thanks, guys.
On the next Unofficial Lounge, we talk to Big 12 umpire Scott Teitberg.
And, they told me, you go work a few years in arena football, at the college game is going to almost look like slow motion. Don't believe that.
Be on the lookout for future episodes with head coach of Fresno State football, Mr. Kalen DeBoer, and vice president of officiating for the Pac-12, Mr. David Coleman.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Remember to please like and subscribe, as the Unofficial Lounge is available on all your podcast streaming outlets, including Apple, Google, Spotify, and Anchor. We look forward to you joining us next time in the Unofficial Lounge.